Hello everybody, Resonance here with a big announcement. On June 12th, Microsoft officially announced Age of Empires Definitive Edition, which will be released later this year and is being developed by Forgotten Empires, the company that designed the Age of Empires 2 expansion packs on Steam. During this video, I will go over the gameplay footage shown in the official trailer, some of the upcoming new features, and a bunch of features not shown in the trailer, and give you all my first impressions on everything we know so far. If you've already seen the trailer, then keep watching, as I have plenty of other interesting news to share. This video also only contains my personal opinions, and not the opinions of Forgotten Empires or Microsoft. If you're looking for more videos, tutorials, and expert gameplay on Age of Empires 2, Age of Empires Definitive Edition, and a wide variety of other strategy games, then you're in the right place. You can find updates on the game's development on my Facebook and Twitter pages, and I also livestream regularly on Twitch TV, and I'd love to have you there. So without further ado, let's take a look at some of the footage shown in the trailer. As you can tell, Age of Empires Definitive Edition will have absolutely stunning graphics. We can see all the classic Age of Empires civilizations here, and many of our favorite units. Age of Empires Definitive Edition will include all of the content from the original game, including the Rise of Rome expansion, as well as the demo campaign missions. This is the same Age of Empires that we all know and love, but completely modernized, and wow does it look good! You can find a link to the full official trailer in the video description below, as well as a link to the Forgotten Empires website where you can find more information on the game. I had the pleasure of being a full-time employee on the dev team at Forgotten Empires up until April, and while I've recently stepped back to a more part-time volunteer position, I still regularly share community feedback, bug reports, and chime in on development. One quick note: the release of Age of Empires Definitive Edition does not mean that development for Age of Empires 2 HD Edition has ceased or will stop anytime in the near future. The two are separate projects. I was actually conveniently working on an unfinished mock trailer for the game back when it was extremely early in development, so let's take a look at some clips from that too and see some of the game's features. The most notable new additions are the drastically improved graphics, scaled all the way up to 4K resolution. Believe it or not, the game is actually still rendered in the classic 2D isometric perspective, with sprites, but the units in the Definitive Edition are rendered in 32 different directions, rather than the old 8, which makes them turn extremely smoothly. I am very impressed because I can confirm that Age of Empires Definitive Edition was actually built from the original Age of Empires 1 Genied engine, so it really is a dramatic transformation. I think that the Forgotten Empires team did an excellent job keeping the original feel of the graphics and making them basically look as nice as possible while still being in the same 2D engine. Another major feature I wanted to highlight was the Classic Mode versus Definitive Mode. It was an idea that came up early in development, and I was a huge vocal supporter of it. I heavily emphasized the need for a true classic mode, as I know how many diehard fans there are of the original feel, gameplay, and graphics. As project lead Bert Beekman, aka Cision, puts it, the biggest challenge was to keep the balance between new and old. For those of you who might prefer the old visuals and old gameplay, you can play Classic Mode, where everything is exactly the same as it was in the original release, just with more resolution options. Definitive Mode I can't tell you too much about yet, but it will contain some gameplay improvements, which I will announce at a later date on my social media pages, as well as on my YouTube channel. Definitive Mode also of course has the new graphics. One of the confirmed gameplay improvements not shown in the trailer will be the addition of several much-needed balance changes inspired by existing community patches and suggestions. We don't know yet what other gameplay improvements we can expect, and in my mind, it is extremely important that Definitive Mode has some significant improvements to things like the UI, AI, menu system, and unit pathing. It's an interesting thought, but Age of Empires 1 notably lacks unit formations and the ability to garrison units, so I wonder if at least adding unit formations would change the feel of the game too much, and then therefore is not worth adding. Instead, the developers have confirmed that new gameplay improvements will at least include UI changes, attack move, gather points, and intelligent villagers. To be clear, it is not confirmed yet what intelligent villagers actually means, so I can only speculate that it means that they will behave more similarly to the villagers in the Conquerors. Perhaps they will automatically start gathering resources after building a drop-off point, like a storage pit. But again, that's just speculation at this point, and I'm curious what everyone else thinks that might mean. Personally, I am really looking forward to the confirmed changes, and I think that they will make the gameplay feel smoother without changing the overall feel of it too much. One quick note is that I can confirm that the balance changes in Definitive Mode will affect all game modes, including the campaigns. But the great news is that you can still play the campaigns with the exact original balance in Classic Mode, so basically everyone wins. The great part about splitting between Classic and Definitive Mode is that Classic Mode will always be the original experience, and Definitive Mode can serve as a way to modernize the gameplay without alienating original fans of the game. I do want them though to keep a similar feel in Definitive Mode, so we'll have to see what they have in mind for the future. The gameplay in the original Age of Empires certainly has a different and very old feel to it compared to Age of Empires 2, so I wonder if the gameplay improvements they have in mind will give it a more modern feature-complete feel, or if the gameplay will just not catch on as it did back when the original was released. Some people have expressed their concerns to me that the game just didn't age as well as they remember it. Age of Empires Definitive Edition certainly looks good, but has the original gameplay withstood the test of time, or is it in need of some new features to make it feel great? I think I'd have to play around more with the newer builds to know for sure. What I can say though is that I am hopeful that the UI changes, attack move, gather points, and intelligent villagers should really help the game feel more modern and yet still faithful to its predecessor. Please let me know in the comment sections below what you think of Age of Empires Definitive Edition so far, and what kinds of features you would like to see. I still have a bunch of other features and goodies to share with you from the Age of Empires website that weren't shown in the trailer. While I'm on the website, you can actually go there right now to sign up for the beta, which starts soon, and the game itself will be released later this year. First, you can see some side-by-side comparison images of the new building graphics. While the actual scaling of the buildings is very odd in Age of Empires 1, the sheer resolution and overall quality of these graphics is just breathtaking. They also published another blog post which showed the new and improved Wololo sound effect. Here is also a brief audio clip of the new narration for the campaigns, something I think a lot of people didn't expect.
The hunt is a success and your tribe grows. You and your people will raise many sons and daughters in this land.
In my personal opinion, the delivery doesn't sound particularly natural, but the material is pretty hard to work with, and it's a nice touch nonetheless, so props to Microsoft and Forgotten Empires here. Lastly, we have the new fully reorchestrated soundtrack, which I have been playing in the background of this video. Let's listen to the soundtrack briefly without my narration and see how it sounds. In my personal opinion, the new soundtrack sounds fantastic, and to me, the soundtracks in Age of Empires 1, 2, 3, and Age of Mythology are all extremely memorable. The final set of new features are, of course, the Xbox Live multiplayer and achievements. People often ask me what Xbox Live multiplayer actually means. No, you don't need to pay for a subscription to play it online, and no, you don't actually need an Xbox game system to play either. Age of Empires Definitive Edition is PC only, and Microsoft confirmed that they have decided to make the game entirely exclusive to the Windows Store and Windows 10. I am honestly a little bit concerned with this announcement, and judging by the community response, it looks like a lot of users are more than just a little concerned. I haven't tried the Windows Store myself, and I have heard that it has improved since release, but many players echo that the Windows Store has been buggy, difficult to navigate, and unfortunately, has no modding support. Modding support in particular has been historically very important to the Age of Empires franchise and was a major selling point of Age of Empires 2 HD Edition as well as Age of Mythology Extended Edition. I am very curious if Microsoft has plans for future mod support, or if the Windows Store exclusivity means that there will be no mods for anyone. In addition, another point of community criticism has been from an accessibility standpoint. Most Age of Empires players are accustomed to using Steam or other third-party clients, and I doubt that many of them have updated to the Windows 10 operating system. The Age of Empires franchise at this point is heavily built on nostalgia, because the original games were just so damn good, and a ton of people still play them online today. If a ton of people are still playing the originals, I imagine they are not doing it with a fully updated operating system. One thing I wonder is, will the exclusivity of the Windows Store and Windows 10 severely hurt sales of the game, or will players be willing to try the new platforms? What do you think? Players often ask me how well the game runs, and I can't comment on that yet as I haven't actually updated to Windows 10 yet to play in the upcoming beta. What I can say though is that the developer team, Forgotten Empires, has recently hired 2 lead engineers from the original Ensemble Studios team, Matt the Optimizer Pritchard and Rich Geldreich, both of which are working on the game. There has been some concern that since Age of Empires 2 HD Edition, and especially Age of Mythology Extended Edition, have both had some long-standing performance and stability issues, that Age of Empires Definitive Edition might suffer the same fate. It is important to keep in mind, though, that Age of Empires Definitive Edition is solely developed by Forgotten Empires, who did not actually do the engineering work for the above 2 titles, just the design work. So I'm actually pretty optimistic here. Really though, I can't know for sure yet, and we'll have to see if Age of Empires Definitive Edition actually runs as smooth as it looks. In my mind, the most important takeaway from this video is what this means for the future of the Age of Empires franchise, Forgotten Empires' growth as a company, as well as the future of the real-time strategy genre. To me, Age of Empires Definitive Edition is a beacon of hope. It signals to me that Microsoft is finally remembering what made their original title so great, that they are willing to invest more resources into it, and that maybe, hopefully, one day we finally get a new game. Of course, though, there is the completely valid concern that Age of Empires 4, if it ever did happen, might really fail to meet our expectations, and I just want to make it happen one way or another. I want to see the games industry get the courage again to make more real-time strategy games, and hopefully ones that are inspired by the many classics of the 90s. I'm a firm believer that the RTS genre has died down a bit, not because nobody wants to play RTS games anymore, but rather because the game industry overall has forgotten what made RTS games so great. In my personal opinion, Age of Empires 2 is by far one of the best games I've ever played, and I hope that developers look to it as inspiration for future titles. There's a reason why it is still one of the most played games on Steam to this day, because the gameplay is truly timeless. Some people have speculated that at Gamescom we're going to see the announcement of Age of Empires 4, and while I honestly have no idea what Microsoft is planning to announce, I think it is unlikely that it's actually Age of Empires 4. In my mind and personal opinion, Age of Empires 4 is ultimately a crapshoot. It may never happen, and if it does, it might not be what the community wants. But who knows? I'd be extremely happy if that was actually the announcement, and it's somewhat possible that it could be, but I want people to have reasonable expectations. It could just easily be something else. At the end of the day, Age of Empires Definitive Edition was a pleasant surprise to all of us, and I have to thank Microsoft and Forgotten Empires for their dedication to the project. One day I hope that some of the features and framework hopefully gets carried over to Age of Empires 2, but they haven't announced anything yet, and that would be a ton of development time. The future is certainly unclear, but with Definitive Edition on the way, it's looking so much brighter to me. Also, fingers crossed that if Age of Empires 4 is ever a thing, that it borrows heavily from Age of Empires 2's gameplay, and doesn't try to heavily simplify the formula that made the original so popular, even today. So to sum up my thoughts on Age of Empires Definitive Edition, this is basically what I think Age of Empires 2 HD Edition and Age of Mythology Extended Edition should have been, although preferably also available on Steam and with Steam Workshop mod support. I am extremely thankful and excited for the game anyway though, because not only could it turn out to be tons of fun, but it could hopefully serve as inspiration for future RTS titles. I just can't wait to play it. I think that the graphics look absolutely stunning. I love the addition of Classic Mode. I like the confirmed gameplay improvements, the programming should hopefully, fingers crossed, actually be solid, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what other kinds of gameplay improvements that Definitive Mode will bring. Ultimately, I'm quite concerned that Microsoft decided that the game will be exclusive to the Windows Store and Windows 10, and that I worry it may severely limit accessibility of the game. But we'll have to see how that plays out. Maybe the game is going to be so good that everyone is going to want to try it anyway. Overall, the game leaves me very hopeful for the future of the Age of Empires franchise and the RTS genre. I'm definitely going to try it during the beta and after release. I look forward to sharing some additional gameplay and news with you guys as we move closer to the release later this year. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then please do take a moment to leave me a like rating as well as a comment below, it really helps out. I'd also appreciate it if you check out the other content on my channel, as I have plenty of videos for a wide variety of other games, including a ton on Age of Empires 2. My channel is a great place to learn more about the broad world of strategy games, and we have a wonderful community full of people to play with. Sharing this video around with anyone who wants to learn more about Age of Empires Definitive Edition would also be very helpful. As always, I really appreciate the support, and I hope to see you all on my weekly Twitch TV live streams or in a future YouTube video.